Hey everyone, this is Jesse and we're playing Value Vintage today, a format that follows the Vintage ban list with a $30 budget limit. Today, I'll be playing through a league, 5 unknown decks emulating your normal Magic Online league. These players came from the Value Vintage Discord and are taking decks that they would consider for 1Ks. You can find a link to the Discord in the description. They share local events while also hosting online tournaments. The deck that I'm running this league is Jeskai Sphinx. I've put this list together mainly to play with Sphinx of Forgotten Lore. Currently under $1, Sphinx is the best imitation of Snapcaster Mage we get in this format. The major difference is the flashback being attached to it attacking, allowing it to be repeatable. Since we want to attack to get value out of it, our build has some proactive spells like Lightning Bolt and Lightning Helix to remove creatures early and pressure life totals late. The rest of the deck is built like a traditional Jeskai Control deck. 4 swords and 4 counterspells are control staples, and Brain Surge pairs well with the fetch lands in our 3-color mana base. We also have Sailor's Bane as an additional threat that cares about us casting spells early and doesn't care about Sphinx casting spells from the yard since it counts the graveyard and exile. Our sideboard plays Flame Slash for additional removal, Spell Pierce for cheap interaction, and Damping Spear for Storm and Cloud Post. We have a set of Rest in Peace for dedicated graveyard decks, and a couple of Geist to help pressure combo and control decks. Lastly, Wear Tear is the most efficient naturalize effect in Boros that we have available to us and pairs very nicely with Sphinx of the Forgotten Lore. If you're looking for Value Vintage content, please consider liking the video and following the account, and let's get into the games. Alright, so we have a match against Senna. I've played against them a couple times in the online events. I'm not sure what they're on. This hand is fine. We have access to blue on turn 1, and we can go for... Okay, so they're on Giganta, so that's could be a lot of things. I know Post. It's typically like Post and Jund, and then there's just some generic decks that you can fit a Giganta in for. So we'll find the island with this at the end of their turn. That'll let us play the Sulphur Falls to leave up Counterspell for 2 turns. And then we can figure out what we need for our 3rd land here. This looks like it might be Jund. So we're going to find an island. I'll have to learn how to play a little faster with this deck. Ooh, that's pretty good. I think we're still going to leave up the Counterspell just because I'm not sure what they could have. But next turn we'll have access to the Soul Ring. That'll let us get this Sphinx online if they choose not to do anything. Okay, this is definitely Jund. So if they take Inquisition, they could take our Soul Ring. I do think I want to counter this, because they're either taking the Counterspell or the Soul Ring, and we're not doing anything this turn, and neither are they, so we might as well just use the Counterspell. So if we can get them to tap out for something, then we'll be able to flash in the Sphinx, and while it's not going to get a ton of value immediately, we'll be constantly threatening bolts or cantrips off the top. Deep Cavern Bat. So this is interesting. If we counter this, then he could still bolt this thing. What? I think we counter this. Because worst comes to worst, we're going to just be setting up for a decent treasure cruise. We know he's not on Hymn the Torah because he has Giganta as companion. Okay, there's a second Sphinx. So we are just going to play this. We're at 3 cards for Treasure Cruise. We could cruise now, but if he does tag it with a discard spell, we can flash in the Sphinx to get it back. I think this turn looks like fetch both of these, flash the Sphinx in. Worst comes worst, he kills it. And then we have access to the second Sphinx or another treasure cruise. So... so he can have this because there's no hits for it. We are a little bit behind on cards, but that's okay. Just because we have treasure cruise and then might eventually have the Sphinx to flash it back. Okay, so he has that. Alright, so we'll flash this in. We'll start sacking these. We definitely want a plains. We shouldn't need double red, so I'm almost tempted to just get another blue here. We could need double red if... I don't know that we'll need double red. I don't think we'll also need the double white for the depopulate, just because we're ahead on board. I think it's just the island here, because we want to be able to potentially go multiple blue on spells. Okay, so there's a Sailor's Bane. So the graveyard's 5, which means treasure cruise will cost 3. So started out like this. I don't think we're gonna flash back these counter spells. I don't think there's any point in doing that on our turn. I think they'll probably try to main phase most of their spells. Alright, so this costs 6 right now. I think the play is just going to be to go Prairie Stream, keep up the other Sphinx. We're kind of on a beatdown plan right now, which is kind of awkward. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Excuse me. We are a land drop or another spell away from casting that treasure cruise from the yard. We would have to tap out for it, but a draw 3 versus Jund is probably okay. We're also at a point where he doesn't know that we have the depopulate in hand, so he might commit more resources to the board. And if that's the case, we won't cast the Sphinx, so we can just depopulate and clear off the board. And if we have another land to, if we go with that play, go depopulate, pass, he does whatever, we could flash in the Sphinx again, because we'll have the mana. Alright, so he's blowing up Soul Ring and picking up Deep Cavern Bat, so that's fine. You can have that. So that will flash in this Sphinx. Because we're at a point where we are... we're head on board. He can't play Deep Cavern Bat. That's a pretty good draw. So... let's see. I think we're actually... we're just going to attack with both. This cruise is not getting cast, so we're just going to hit for 6. We can pass and then dig through time, because we're still 1 card short in the yard. If he goes for this Deep Cavern Bat, we'll just dig through time. Alright, so now we are going to go for the dig through time. So if we can find like 2 cheap pieces of removal, so I actually think this is going to be, it's probably just double Lightning Helix, because if he takes one of them, then we can just use the other one to kill the bat. So we let him have this. Now we get to do, this is where I think the second red would be good, because we'd be able to go Helix your guy, attack, give it a flashback, and Helix again. It's really questionable you take it. I think you just take one of the Lightning Helixes. Because I'm not going to Wrath my own board. You could take the Sailor's Bane, but now I just have 2 Helixes, and it's just like enough damage to kill you. I'm almost curious on if the Depopulate stays in post-board. It probably does just because he's committing enough on the board, but... Okay, so he does take the Sailor's Bane. It's probably better to attack there just so that way, because this isn't going to be able to block. Okay, a mountain off the top is huge. So... I don't think I care if this blocks, because it just lets me not use one of my Lightning Helixes to remove the blocker. We might see a bolt here on one of the Sphinxes. Okay, so nothing there. There might be a better line where I Lightning Helix pre-combat. Okay, so he is bolting here. If he's bolting here, then I can dig through time on my turn. Let's see what he does. Okay, so he doesn't block. Yeah, I almost just want to dig through time here. Because my life total's not under pressure. I think we're just digging here. This might be a little greedy, but we have double Lightning Helix and Depopulate. Okay, so this should just be enough burn. I think it's just... So we're not countering anything this turn. And it's probably just another Sailor's Bane. I don't think he's going to be able to get through all these threats. It's kind of crazy we didn't hit a land in that stack in that 7. So we're missing a red source, so we can't just go 3-2-1 and kill him, but he has to have removal for the Sphinx, or... Well, no, yeah, he has to have removal for the Sphinx. Because I could just go bolt. Well, no, I guess he doesn't have to. This now costs 5 mana. Okay, got Bloodbraid. We can almost just probably depopulate here, too. I think it depends on just what he does this turn. Okay, so he's not attacking with the Deep Cavern Bat. So if we draw a Sulfur Falls, we win. Let's see what happens here. Okay, another Lightning Bolt. So I think definitely at this point, we're just going to Wrath. We'll still just attack. We'll see what he does. So he knows we have double Helix. Yep. And then this is now a 4-drop, so we have access to double bolt, so we're still in a pretty safe spot. We just have enough points of burn in hand that depending on what he does this turn, we can just go bolt, bolt, lightning Helix. That is a Minson Boo. So I'll take 4 out of this. Takes me to 7. If he has a bold, it takes me to takes me to 4. It's a pretty sweet Jund list. I have a Jund list myself, and I kind of like this one better. So we'll go bolt. Sen is always a very polite opponent in every time that I've played him. Oh, not on my watch, pal. The one thing I like about this deck is it plays very similar to the old Jeskai Control list in Modern, where it kind of resolves around just controlling the early game and then kind of burning your opponent out. So I'm bringing in this extra removal. Flame Slash seems like it cleans up a lot on the board. Geist is going to be hard to deal with if we can keep creatures off the board. I don't think I want Rest in Pieces. They seem kind of mediocre. Spell Pierces I'm not that interested in. The Wear Tears don't seem to do anything, and Damping Spheres also don't do anything. The question is we have to take out 4 cards. So I think we take out this Jeskai Charm. I don't think we need to be doing anything with that. I almost don't know if I need the Depopulates if I have all this removal. Because it was decent with that board, but Sailor's Banes are huge. Maybe it's the Sphinxes because they have bolts. I think it's maybe something like this. I kind of like everything else that we have going on. We'll try to run it with this. Alright, so this hand is a little slow. It does have perfect mana. It's also relatively discard proof. It dodges Inquisition. I think we're going to keep this. We have a lot of live draws. Like I said, we have perfect mana. We don't need double white because we boarded out the Populates. Nice. So he gets perfect information, but we dodge the Inquisition. Unless we draw something specific, our turn 1 here should just be Prairie Stream pass. Kind of opens up the rest of our hand. All right, so we have the Lightning Bolt. It doesn't really change anything. We'll play the Prairie Stream and just pass a turn. Pretty huge that we drew the Bolt and drew the Bolt after the Inquisition, so he doesn't get the card for free. He's got a lot of 2-drops. Okay, Scavenging Goose. So we can bolt this pretty easily. We're also kind of sequencing some pretty good plays here to set up the Sphinx. Ooh, we have the lose focus, though, so I think the play here is going to be we play the Sulfur Falls, and then we just wait to see what they do. If his play isn't threatening, we can bolt the Scoos, even if we have to take the 2 damage. Or we'll at least leave up lose focus. Alright, with the Inquisition here, I think we're definitely killing the Scavenging Goose. He's going to get our lose focus, but at least we exchange on resources there. If we draw a land here, we do have access to cycle this landscape. Just because it gives us something to do. It'll feed the dig through time. And we'll kind of have enough land drops to do most of our gameplay in here. Alright, so yeah, there's the island. So we'll just go island, pass. We have 1 unknown. He doesn't know we drew another island. We can cycle the Perilous Landscape. Still in a really good spot this game. We're dodging a lot of the interaction on our top end. Okay, put Gigantha in hand. We're in a really good spot too, just because it looks like he's fumbling on red mana, which is one thing that's really tough about 3-color in the format. Control decks, it seems like they do a little bit better because they have the landscapes, but if your mid-range deck doesn't have access to landscapes, sometimes it's a little bit harder to hit your colors. So we'll kind of do the same play this turn. We'll play the island, and then we'll just pass the turn. We have the ability to flash in the Sphinx if we want. Or we can just cycle the Perilous Landscape. I think it kind of depends on what his turn looks like. So Deep Cavern Bat. I think with Deep Cavern Bat, we will flash in the Sphinx. This is going to allow us to attack in. We can bolt the Deep Cavern Bat and hit whatever he takes. I also don't think we're going to cycle this Perilous Landscape because we do want to feed another card to the dig through time, and we were going to want to get another red source just if we start going with the burn plan. Right, there's a lose focus, so we'll go Landscape. So we'll attack. We'll give the Bolt flashback, and we'll wait until he chooses to block or not, because it does give flashback until the end of turn. So now we are going to go for the Bolt here. We do have access to lose focus for 2 replicates, so we can kind of tag any card that he plays. I wonder what other expensive cards he's playing mana-wise. Because there are Lurrus versions of Jund that are out there. This one, we obviously saw Bloodbraid. I don't think there was anything else in game 1. Oh, we saw the Minson Boo. Minson Boo is actually probably a pretty strong reason to go with Gigantha Companion instead of Lurrus. Senna did say that the client was being a little slow on his end, so maybe for some of the delay that we're seeing here. But once again, we're in a really good spot. We have lose focus up. We'll get to refill here pretty soon with this dig through time. Sailor's Bane is also not too far off from getting online. It is 7 mana right now, but as we start casting these spells, it will get cheaper. He did find red mana, so he is online. I guess the question is going to be, what does he want to go with? Okay, so he has a Bloodbraid. Let's see what he hits off the Bloodbraid. So we should be able to cast with replicate, so we are going to replicate 1. And I'm going to leave this up so that way we can fetch with it. So this is targeting the Scavenging Ooze, so we want this to target the Bloodbraid Elf. So we'll get to hit both of these. So it was a good turn for us. This next turn we should be able to kind of start going off with this dig through time. It's not really a lot of actually nothing that comes to mind at 1 mana that he would use to kill the Sphinx. Maybe a Murderous Cut if he was playing it, but I think it's more likely than not that he wouldn't have that in his list. It's more of a cute card. That's something that I would have in mind. Alright, so we got a Brain Surge. It's a pretty good draw. So we have 4 in the yard, which means we need 4. We could do 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I think no matter what, we're just attacking. We can choose to hold some cards in our hand on his turn. We'll just give a Lose Focus flashback in case he does something. But I think this next turn looks like Brain Surge and a Dig Through Time. I'm not sure the last couple cards in his hand. I know one of them's Gigantha, but I think with the Sailor's Bane, you know, multiple ways to get card advantage on this turn here that we could probably have this locked up. Even if he goes to play something like Mincin Boo, there's a chance that we could Brain Surge into a counter spell and we'll be in a fantastic spot. I think we were correct not to bring in the Spell Pierces. The only thing that they would have hit were the Inquisition so far. And we did fade one of them on turn 1, so... Alright, he's going for the Gigantha. I think we are just going to Brain Surge in response here. We're not that threatened by it. Okay, so we don't need another Sphinx, and I think we can actually bin... Maybe the Geist is weak here. They will just definitely keep the land. So this is 1, 2... So this is 12. The 6 damage right here takes him to 8. I don't think there's a sequence of draws that let us burn him out here at this point. So we're going to instead Dig Through Time here. So we're looking for more burn spells. We found none. We want... So the Sailor's Banes are now 5 mana to play. There's 3 cards in hand. We can outsize them with Sailor's Bane. So I think it's just Sailor's Bane and then Counterspell here. Alright, and then we'll go to our turn. We could get this Colonnade online, so... We have 6 mana. Yeah, so we can go play Colonnade. We'll be able to play the Sailor's Bane and leave up Counterspell and Bolt. So... And in case something happens to our board, I don't know what he could have, but we have the Colonnade as insurance. He also has to deal with multiple threats because if he doesn't get the Sphinx, we can go bolt, attack, bolt again. That's 9. And then even the colonnade there, we have the mana to be able to do all of those things in attack. And that's not even including the Sailor's Bane, the 7/7 we have. So the Sailor's Bane will also be a 3-drop next turn after we bolt at the minimum, or if we counterspell something. Alright, he's making mana. He's got a lot of mana. I don't think he can pay. I don't know if you can pay for that with Gigantha's. Might have to use his actual lands. Yeah, that's what I figured. So since he's tapping down, he's really only going to have green and then a green and a black, because he does have some generic, but I think with him tapping down Gigantha for that we are just going to counterspell the Terminate. And then this is just basically lethal in hand. He could play a blocker, but even though he plays a blocker, if it's a 1-drop, we bolt it, attack, flashback the bolt, and then bolt him. Plus Colonnade, we have Colonnade activation. So, alright. So, GG to Senna. I really like the Jundless. Like I said, I have one myself, but I think mine's a little too cute. His seems much more efficient, kind of classic Jund-E. So pretty good showing of our deck. I think the Sphinxes were pretty strong there. Pretty good grindy value that we got a couple good spells out of it. So GG to them. And once again, pretty great showing of the deck. All right, we are up against Fire Destroyer. I don't think I've really played against them in any of the online leagues or anything. So I'm not sure exactly what to expect. I don't want to keep this hand, though, just because... Actually, it's really close. Because any land gets Brain Surge online. But there's a... Man. Now I'm second-guessing myself. We're going to mulligan. It's close, but I don't think it's keepable. Okay, this hand is keepable. And then we will bottom this mountain. Yeah, the first hand is close, because really any land gets us there, at least on turn 3. Okay, this is not a good start for us. Basic Swan Soaring doesn't tell me a whole lot either. Okay, so we are getting initiatived. If we can find a Sphinx, we can combat this, but it's going to be a while before we get the Sailor's Bane online. I'm kind of okay throwing that other hand back too, because we don't know that we would have hit another land for the counterspell. We do have access to Depopulate, which would have helped there, but just a 1 turn too short there. So now I have Lose Focus if they have other ways to go in the dungeon. We're going to be taking a lot here from this Undermountain, though, so we are going to need to try to find a Swords, maybe. The nice part is if we can live, so we'll go to 15. We can go as low as 5, but we just need to keep other threats off the board. Inquisition is annoying. They're probably going to take the Lose Focus, but I don't think we can really... Like, there's nothing we can really do here. If we go to counter it, they probably just let it happen and play a threat. This could be one of the other 4-drop initiative creatures in the black ones. It might just be black-green initiative. Yeah, it's another Undermountain. Jeez. Jeez. So we go to 15, we go to 10. Next turn we go to 2. So we're not quite dead, but we are close. Alright, so we do have a couple draws here. Depending on what they do, if they don't present any other threats, we can go Brain Surge, hopefully find maybe a Swords or a Populate and like a Prairie Stream. We're really asking a lot in like these next couple cards, but so we're going to 2. That much is for sure. Okay, Ignoble, sure. So probably just a black-green initiative list, if I had to guess. Well, we found part of the equation, but not the rest of it. So we are going to concede here. All right, now sideboard. Oh, we want these Flame Slashes. Is that all we have? Dampic Sphere does nothing. Geist is... I mean, Geist can fight for the initiative, but it really only gets to hit once. If I bring these in, what are we taking out? These Helixes are almost not good, I would assume. They can help stabilize, but... I almost don't like the bolts. But if I don't like bolt, then I don't like Helix. It's really awkward. Maybe it's this. We're just on a more control-y plan. Geist gets worse without bolts. I still think it's this. I would like to be on the play. Ugh. Well. Excuse me. Double Geist, Bolt. Jeez. We have good mana. I don't think we can keep it. This hand is much slower, but it's probably to lose focus. We could cycle for a white source. If they're on Spirit Guides and they just go like Spirit Guide, Spirit Guide, Spirit Guide thing, that's really bad for us, but if we could start chaining into like land into Sphinx, this hand is pretty strong. Probably just let that Ignoble live for a while. Okay, so that's actually not bad. So here we can go. Here we can go Colonnade, pass, cycle for Island. Well, we actually no. We still probably want to cycle for a white. The only reason I say is if we draw to populate, then we want that to be the route. That would also let us leave up Counterspell and Swords to Plowshares next turn. Oh, these Soaring draws are so good. There it is, yep. Seems like we actually have a chance this game, though, compared to the other one. So we're still going to cycle for that white. Well, if we go for the white, it's still got to be white. Because now we can do is we can go land. Oh, we drew another swords too. Excellent. So if he goes to target Underbound, we can swords in response. We also have a counter spell to back it up. I think his better play is to put it on Ignoble. Okay, he's going to put it on there, so we will swords that in response. If he plays another initiative threat here, we do get to counter spell it. Okay, so we can Flame Slash that this next turn. Then that'll let us leave up counter spell still. It's a 3/3? Yep. Okay, so did get paid off for letting that resolve, so that we can counter the Grist. Alright, so why does that have indestructible? Oh, it gets a part of the ability. That card is insane. Okay. That was a huge draw, by the way, so we will Flame Slash this here. We still have access to swords, and then next turn we can flash in a Sphinx, and we'll be able to just start picking off whatever they play. Worst play for us here would be like a Grist, I think. Just something that we can't swords. What is this? Okay, that's actually fine. I was petrified when I saw all the mana get tapped. So now we just need to fade. He does get an extra draw from the initiative next turn. We just need to fade anything too crazy. He's out a lot of life, but we have a lot of resources in the yard to get back with the Sphinx. Is this another Ursine monstrosity? Yep. A lot of worse draws. A lot of worse draws for us, I should say. He milled a Duress, okay. Alright, so I am tempted to eat this here. I think if he has a removal spell, he'll use it anyway. I'm not sure what else he could have that would make a difference from pre-blockers to end step. He could have a Grist here that kills it. Okay, he doesn't have a Grist. That's good for us. Another Sphinx is huge, so the play here is going to be to Flame Slash. We can leave up the swords, so we'll attack. This doesn't have reach, right? No, just trample. We'll target the Flame Slash. Now we'll get the flash in another Sphinx end of turn. We'll take the initiative, so it's pretty huge. We will just get an island. So next turn we have access to Sphinx. If he plays any threats, we get the swords them. This is another troll, it looks like. Yep. So we'll get the swords that. It's not the best play, but we need to stop him from keeping the initiative, and right now we have a lot of time. We are just going to start trying to race him here. Especially if we're going to make him gain life. Okay, counterspell there's huge. So we'll get a swords. Get a counterspell. All right, and then we will flashback swords here. We're getting to a point we might be able to turn on this colonnade. I think this counterspell is mainly going to be reserved for an initiative creature at this point, just because it'll go to the last part of the Undercity. So does he know we have this counterspell? He does not. So I think we just let him have this. If he names counterspell, you know, it is what it is. Okay, chose lightning bolt, so he now knows we have a counterspell. I think that's all right. Okay, nice, we got there. So gonna draw an island. So he's definitely on initiative. He has some lower to the ground creatures like monstrosity, so I think we do want bolts. I don't think we want these guys from what we ended up seeing. I think we just want to be on killing off his creatures. So he did have troll. I wonder if he has any reanimator things with the troll, but I don't think we can combat that. I think we just submit this and we try to not fall out in the early game. So this is a strong hand. It's a very strong hand. A Cabal Therapy on swords is about as backbreaking as it could be. Any land off the top is a really good spot for us here. Alright, so he mulled to 6. There's a duress, so not the worst spot to be, just because we have a lot of redundancy. Excuse me. Flame Slash is our weakest card. Okay, he took the lose focus. To me, that sounds like there's an initiative creature in our future. Big draw. I'm wondering, did we see anything that was double pip colors that he could play something like Giganta? Ooh, that's annoying. All right. Got our land. That's unfortunate. If we can get a land off the top, that'd be huge. We gotta lose focus, so this might be bad news for us. We will swords this. All right, untap land. Never didn't have it. All right. So now we have lose focus online. So we're not in a terrible spot. If we can draw another lane, we get Brain Surge and we get to play the game a little bit. Get to hit this. All right, well, a lot of turns left. It's crazy that if that, we are going to lose focus this as well. If we're able to not lose our land there, we're actually in a great spot at this point. So Sulphur Falls is huge. All of his draws are live this turn, unfortunately, so we really need a strong Brain Surge here. All right, drew land. Pretty good for us. All right, these Sailor's Banes are so online. I think it's actually going to be this. Just that. I kind of want to draw those cards anyway, so. We have a turn that we can wait. Because we have the counter spell. That's fine. We're not even going to try to kill it or anything cute. And then we'll pass again. We can get a Brain Surge, and then another. We can get a fetch with the Ash Barons. That'll get these Sailor's Banes down to 2 drops, and then we can start kind of sequencing, sequencing some threats with permission up. I think he can actually have that because we don't want to counterspell it. So we can go do this. All right, and we want to put back. I actually don't like this Ash Barons, and I don't like this Perilous Landscape. We can just draw those. So now we can go. If we draw the Ash Barons, it's okay because it's a land. Go Sulphur Falls. Into Sailor's Bane. Okay, we do want to counterspell this. So he's not going to be able to attack it. I mean, he can attack it with Monstrosity, just... Oh, it's a 7/7. It's an 8/8, actually. Man, I didn't realize this thing was going to get so big. That's a bit of a misplay. I think we could take 8 here, though. So there's no initiative to fight for. Just go to 11. We have the swords for it next turn. So we can go Landscape. All right, and we don't need to play the Sailor's Bane. Well, if we play the Sailor's Bane, so I go 1/2. I just don't think we need to. We can wait. And so we'll swords this now. We can keep up Replicate or lose focus by a lot. Tarmogoyf Finesse is a pretty huge thing to mill there. Alright, so we will go sacrifice this. We'll find a white. Oh no, we don't have a white. We milled it. Oh geez. We'll find the red. Clear this off. Cruz is a pretty big draw. I think here, so we can cycle this. Find an island, play the island. So we'll have the ability to do 4. I think we just play the other one of these. We have access to lose focus. Lose focus only goes up 4, or it makes them pay an additional 4, but our treasure cruise draws should let us deal with whatever he would play this upcoming turn. He can't target the Sailor's Bane profitably. Nice. Great games to fire. That matchup was crazy. I thought the him was going to get us. Yeah, it was pretty insane. Really sweet deck. I like kind of like the black-green aggro delirium thing. Ursign Monstrosity. I keep seeing this card coming up. I think I'm going to have to put in some of my list, but it was hitting for crazy damage that game. It was actually, I'm glad it didn't cost me the match, but I wasn't expecting it to get to an 8-8 in that one combat. But GG's the Destroyer. Very sweet deck. All right, we have a match against Bluefur. I'm not sure if they're newer in the Discord. I haven't really seen their name very frequently, so I'm not exactly sure what they would be on. This hand is close. Since we're on the draw, I think we're gonna keep it. It's kind of, if they have a really aggressive start, we're in a bad spot. But even a basic island really turns his hand on, so we'll run it. Okay, looting. This could be some type of delirium, or it could be... Oh, interesting. Okay, so Altanok. Card is sweet. To me, this looks like just your traditional delirium. Probably red-green delirium. Probably most likely an aggro deck. So he's got creature, land, sorcery, artifact. So he already has delirium too on turn 1. So that's a good start. I'll have to mess with my settings after this game. I think MTGO like updated the font on the cards or something here. Alright, so we'll just play this tapped and then pass. So the reason we want to do this is if we draw one of those basic islands, we have access to counterspell next turn. I'm going to keep his graveyard up so you guys can see exactly what he's got going on here. And a Soul Ring start. Say its name, okay. It looked like he picked up a Darcy. So this is kind of shameful. But we do need to try and get our blue mana online. We have 5 counterspells in hand. We can just fade one more thing from really happening to us. We could deal with the Darcy for a bit. And I do not like what is going on with the font all of a sudden. Okay, that's pretty good. He still gets to keep Delirium too. It's a bit awkward too because we need a white and a swords to be able to deal with this. Is this another Phoenix? Jeez. Alright, so we are on a very short clock here. Honestly, as crazy as it sounds, I think we just concede this game because we're going to have to discard something here. We kind of haven't shown him anything on what we're really doing, and we would need, like, untapped white into swords to deal with this, and I don't think that we're going to get that across this next turn. So we'll just concede there for that. We have what in the world? MTGO, you going crazy. Alright. Now that things look a little bit more reasonable. We want these rest in pieces. So we saw Altanok, Darcy, and Phoenix. So these Flame Flashes can clean up the Darcys, at least. I don't think we want Geist. Well, Geist can actually attack into some of those things here, so I don't want these. I don't like these Damping Spheres. I'm going to take these out just because we're bringing in the rest in pieces. Since we're bringing in the Geists, I'm going to take out the Sphinxes. This Jeskai Charm's a little bit weaker now. And I don't really want to take out a Helix just because of the life gain from picking off a guy. Maybe we just take out one Helix. Go for the cheapest removal. Ugh. Well, this hand isn't exciting. I think we'll keep it, though. I really think that the goal for this is going to be just trying to survive the early game. So we have access to the first couple plays they have. I am going to go with Island here. Even if they play a Darcy or something on turn 1, it's not that threatening. And we still have the Bolt for it later. I do want to have access to this counter spell, though. And even if they don't do anything here, we could cycle Ash Barrens. Alright, so a lot of cycling going on initially. Did he mulligan? Because he... Yeah, he did mulligan, okay. So we're at least up on cards against him. Alright, Landscape isn't terrible. We'll still go Island here and then pass. Nice part about Landscape is we already have our mana set up. Wow, 3 Street Race already. We already have our mana set up, so we can cycle it if we're good on lands, which 5 already, we should be good. I'm going to let him have that. So Mountain, jeez. Alright, loose focus draw is pretty good there. Now we're not committed to this counter spell if they play something. Tarfire is fine. At this point, I think we want to just get rid of their stickier threats. This should be fine because we can just counter whatever. Double Pithing Needle, okay. Pithing Needle is probably a reasonable thing to bring in, just given the fact that we didn't really show anything that was going on game one, so just picked up one of the Street Wraiths, cycled again. This man has game trails for days. We can let him have that. None of these things are really worth fighting for right now. I mean, even his Yard, he's got 15 cards in Yard, and the one Say Its Name is the most threatening thing. Okay, that's good. Since we have that, I think the play is going to be to play the Landscape. We can just keep this in play for a while if we need to. Because now we can Brain Surge. Put this island back. We even really put the plains back because we can fetch it with the Landscape. So he can... So you may cast from the graveyard by using his Bestow ability. So my thought here is if he goes for the Detective's Phoenix on the Channeler, we can just lose focus it because we only have 1 mana up. Worst comes to worst, we can kick the or replicate the lose focus, and then bolt the Darcy into turn. So this looks like it's going to be the Delve part of the Phoenix. Yep. So we will... Actually, we can let the Surveil resolve first. Just see what they hit. Okay, another Phoenix, so... Lose focus that. So he's got 2 cards in hand. He can put the other Phoenix on this next turn. So we'll take 2 here. He's gone through a lot of cards for it being turn 4. He has 35 cards left in his deck and it's turn 4. So this deck is very good at churning through itself. Right, we got a Geist, so... Is there any world where we just race here? It's actually unfortunate that I have the Landscape in play instead of one of these, because I could go Geist with Counterspell backup. So if I play this, I have access to Counterspell and Brain Surge, and then can go upkeep, fetch with the Perilous Landscape, and then Geist next turn. Right, that seems like something I want to counter. I learned my lesson on that guy before. Then he detect his Phoenix at, and then we take probably 20. Yep. So we have a pretty cut line now, a clear cut line of Brain Surge. Excuse me. So if we can find a swords at some point here, we're in a really good spot. Okay, so we don't want this Geist. This Sailor's Bane has 3, so... we can actually put this Sailor's Bane on top. And then we don't have to landscape until the next turn. So we can Flame Slash just now. We could just play the Sailor's Bane. I mean, the Sailor's Bane's going to be pretty hard to raise, too. I think we just do that. He can choose to take a hit next turn from the Sailor's Bane, but it, is this another monstrosity? Oh, God. This is probably good enough. Because I don't have an answer for that. I'll take 2. It's going to be 5, so surely he has 5 card types in the yard after this collect evidence. Man, this card is the truth. We need to be playing with this card a little bit soon. So it's going to mill a card, and this is going to be 1 billion damage. Yep, it's actually exact. So, man, sweet deck, though, from Bluefur. So once again, this is turn 6. He went halfway through his entire deck. It's obscene. Crazy good list. Ursine Monstrosity, fantastic card. This card's on my watch list for future videos. But crazy good deck by Bluefur. Really enjoyed it. Really sweet showing of Red-Green Delirium. So, but GG's to him. Really sweet deck. Alright, so we have a match now against Benvi. For anyone who watched the Affinity video, Benvi is the humans player of the Value Vintage format. They had won the Star City Premier 1 or 2K, whichever it was, playing 5-color humans. It's typically the deck that they play. I'm going to keep this hand based off of that knowledge that they're probably on humans. We will do this Prairie Stream on turn 1 unless we draw a different basic. So then that way we can have the Prairie Stream come untapped on turn 3. But the best case scenario is we go Prairie Stream and the Sulphur Falls, and we have access to all of these. Still add all this. If they're not playing a 1-drop too, that's really good for us. So Ash Barrens will let us fix to get to populate mana. Pyre, okay. Pyre's a little unfortunate because I don't think we have a way in the main deck to deal with it now that it's resolved. Our best case scenario is just to be able to kill off whatever creatures he plays. Or Jarina. I think it's okay that we go to counter this. Jarina's just kind of annoying into board wipes. This seems like a matchup where depopulate or single target removal will matter. So they're kind of off to a little bit of a slower start though, which is good for us. Another loose focus is great. If we can afford to, we want to cycle this Ash Barrens for a basic plains. That we have access to both of these and to populate mana. We should be able to just let them have that. If they decide to pot it away, we have multiple removal spells. I think there's a chance that they pod for maybe a Thalia, which is fine. If we take this turn paying 3 mana to Lightning Helix Thalia, that's alright. Because then we can, next turn, just cycle the Ash Barrens, play the basic plains. At some point after casting all these spells, we will just be able to Sailor's Bane, even if we're tapping out for it. Okay, Charming Prince. So, scry 2, sure. So just so they can't get value off of the Pyre next turn, this turn should look like Lightning Helix here and then cycle Ash Barrens. So we'll do that. We just want to keep as many permanents out of play with this Pyre as possible. They do have access to things like Extraction Specialist. I'm pretty sure that Extraction Specialist is in their main. They get to bring back and start doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So, all right, we are. If we're able to cast a couple spells this turn, this dig through time's a little bit better next. I think at this point they have to assume that we're on some kind of Jeskai Control. So it's just a naked Reflector Mage. Is sorcery speed correct? Yep. So we're actually going to... Because we can let this resolve. I think they have something like Aragorn or something that gives them Monarch, if I'm right. Yeah, so we're just going to Swords this now. I did forget about Aragorn whenever they went to cast it. It's like the one thing about VV is like there's so many cards. So this costs 3 less. So it's 6 mana. We can play the Landscape. We're still not in a bad spot. We can hold up this Lose Focus. Cast this Dig Through Time. As long as nothing too bad happens to us this turn, then we're positioned in a really good spot. Because we can outsize anything with this Sailor's Bane. So, alright, if I replicate 2, so if I go 1, 2, 3, I just feel like I shouldn't let them have this Thalia. Just want to replicate once. I actually want to leave up that the landscape just in case we, because I think we want to put an extra card in the yard for this dig through time this turn. So they could have a 1-drop that they could play to power into something, or they could just play another 2 or 3 drop. Okay, so Extraction Specialist is pretty good. This will probably be Blink Extraction Specialist. I think if they get Jarina here, we're in... Excuse me. I think we're in a really bad spot. Yeah. So this fortunately doesn't... Whoops. This fortunately doesn't mess with the Sailor's Bane, but our dig through time is back to being very expensive. So this is 5 mana. We're going to cast the Sailor's Bane. We'll try to finagle a play here where we're able to bolt something. Maybe in response to the Jarina activation if there's an attack. Jarina is just very good against us. Valor's Lieutenant. None of these will be too large for the bolt. Wish I could figure out what happened to MTGO in this update that's causing it to look like this. Ugh. I think they have us this game. The Jarina was pretty clutch there. Let's see. So we want these Flame Slashes, and that's it. Rest in Pieces aren't good. Spell Pierces aren't good. Board gets too clogged up for Geist. Wear and Tear can kill the Pyre, but I think that's it. I don't think there's any humans with odd creature types, or like enchantment or artifact humans. And Damping Spear doesn't do anything. For what we're sideboarding out. It's actually kind of tough because I kind of like all of these cards. Maybe it's 2 Brain Surges. I like this Jeskai Charm for the lifelink and for the bounce. Maybe there's too many ETBs. I feel like this Jeskai Charm has been getting boarded out in a majority of matchups. The dream of growing a Sailor's Bane and giving it lifelink, or going Charm, Sphinx, Flashback Charm, for 11 total damage. Alright, so we are on the play. We don't have red mana. We're basically playing tap lands forever. We do have Brain Surge set up and Lose Focus. I think we'll keep it. Any basic off the top is good here, in any color. Even a Landscape or an Ash Barrens is fine. We end up with a little bit of time. Their one drops typically on. They're on a mulligan too. That's even better. And Avacyn's Pilgrim. Alright, a red card is not what we wanted to see. So we'll just play another Prairie Stream and pass. Thalia is not very good for us. So I think here we wait. There's not really any flash things that would interrupt the swords. Right, so with the Kitesail Freebooter, it's interesting. I think no matter what, we have to get rid of this Thalia. My guess is they take the Brain Surge, since they know that we are missing on red mana. We are many a spell away from the Sailor's Bane. Okay, so they took the Loose Focus. Maybe they have another Thalia. Thalia's Lieutenant, okay. Still in a decent spot here. We have a lot of good draws. Alright, so Island. I think I want to wait and Brain Surge on their turn just in case there's any Kitesail Freebooter or similar effects. In reality, we're not taking that much damage. It's only 5. We have 1 card left in hand, so... An Ash Barrens off this Brain Surge would be really good. Cast a Brain Surge at the end of their turn. Alright, so we found a basic mountain, which is really good. So we want... We don't need another Colonnade. Another Brain Surge is good too. So we'll play this. This is currently a 6-drop. So we want to play a couple spells this turn. I think we can actually wait and leave up the Bolt. Because we can still bolt everything that's in play. So we can bolt this, get back our lose focus, and then have enough to replicate counter. And if they end up not playing anything, we have the Brain Surge. This Flame Slash can clean up the Fowler's Lieutenant. What are soldiers? So this is the only thing that gets buffed by Beachhead. It's a lot closer game than I thought it was going to be. I thought they were going to have us based off of our first couple draws and the high amount of tap lanes to start. Alright, now that we're in combat, I will bolt this. So now we have our loose focus back. We'll take 3. Ending the turn. Okay, so with them just ending the turn, we will go for the Brain Surge. Okay, so this is pretty good. So we're going to take this turn a little bit slow still. We're going to Flame Slash here. So these are now 4 drops, but I think what we want to do, we have 5 in the yard. We can play the Sphinx and also leave up lose focus. So worst comes to worst, if they play something that we really want to counter, we can just lose focus it. And then next turn we have access to potential double Sailor's Bane. Right, whatever this is, it looks sketchy. Mantis Rider. I don't think I want them to have that. So we'll need to replicate once. Right, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, replicate once. So now next turn we can cruise and make these Sailor's Banes really cheap. Can also shuffle this away and I think we put a Colonnade back on top. I guess it's a little bad on me. This taps for mana. The hidden mode on Avacyn's Pilgrim. It shouldn't matter. I think we're still kind of ahead of things, but definitely a punt there. All right, we will start things off by I feel like I want to leave some of this removal. Maybe it doesn't matter. We just start pressuring with Sailor's Banes. Jeez. Okay, these were not draws that I had in mind, candidly. So they have 2 cards in hand. I think at this point, because we have blockers if they do decide to start going wide with the Sphinxes, as well as just the Sailor's Banes being 7/7s. We also have the Colonnade. What is this? Okay, we are going to need to deal with that. For anyone who doesn't know, Aragorn says that a creature cannot block when it attacks, but if you're the monarch, then creatures in general just can't block. So, alright, an Ash Barrens is not what we needed. I don't know if there's anything we can do. Because we attack with both. He just has enough. They just have enough to attack back in. We could flash in Sphinx afterwards. If I just attack with one, he keeps Monarch. Oh, that's frustrating. I think it's going to cost us the game. Me not respecting Alison's Pilgrim. So if I attack with both... There's a chance I draw something like Swords, though. I can even Swords my own guy. Attacking with both, the only thing, yeah, it makes sense not to block at all. Because you don't want to lose either one of these. You would only want to block with this. Been a card in the yard. We drew an island. Man. So I can animate Colonnade here and block this, but this is still 7 damage, 3, 2, and 2. So that'll be lethal. Yeah, they got it. Yeah, really punishing misplay, not accounting for the Avacyn's Pilgrim. Our draws weren't lining up to be super great there, but drawing a lot of the creature top end there too. We were getting into an awkward spot because we had to delve the yard away for that cruise. We do get the Sailor's Banes in play, but then we weren't able to start removing the creature, so it's a tough line. It must have been more correct to leave the spells in the yard for removal, but GG's to Benvy. The deck is very strong, very good showing here, so GG's to them. And we'll try to wrap it up here in the last match. All right, we have another match against Fire Destroyer. We played them earlier on. They were on the black-green kind of aggro list. This hand is interesting. I'm going to keep it. It's going to be like Sulphur Falls into Landscape Soul Ring, and then we have access to the Lose Focus. This counterspell won't be online for a little bit, but that's okay. Unless we top deck an island. I'm sure he knows what I'm doing since this is part of the league, but I don't think he had Gigantha as a companion last time. Okay, so this is Affinity. So a little bit of a slow hand for us for Affinity. So I think we do want to get the Soul Ring online just so that way we have the ability to fetch next turn. He's got a Frogmite. Right, we do want to counter this. So at this point, very little pressure in play. We want to just keep any of the divination spells off the stack. He sends his regards. Not hitting a land is actually backbreaking. What's even worse is I think we want to fetch the white source, just so we have Helix and then better access to the Populate or Source Plowshares off the top. That's fine. Cycling a companion for a land is more than okay. We will take 2. All right, we're going to find the plains. So now we have access to Helix this next turn. I missed another land. I think really any land off the top here is fine too. If it's an Ash Barrens, we cycle. If it's a fetch land, you know, we're insulated for another turn at least. And then even if it's just the mountain, then it gives us Lightning Helix and Lightning Bolt access. We're just going to be conservative with all of our removal, though, just so that way, if there's some cranial plating things, yeah, so this is something that we want to interact with, so... we can't replicate it, so hopefully there's not a Metallic Rebuke. Right? It does not have Metallic Rebuke, at least in hand, so that's good for us. Right, well, we got what we wanted, just a little bit slower. We're also going to be getting to a point here where we can be a little bit more proactive with this removal because we'll be able to Sphinx. All right, so this is one thing that's kind of unfortunate is that we didn't have a way to deal with the cranial plating before it hit the battlefield. So we're going to use the most of our mana and Helix that. Yep. So this is a 6-drop currently. So we can wait for combat on this next turn, or on this turn and go bolt here. I mean, it's only a 6/2, so... Okay, yeah, so this is where... Okay, since he's splitting it, though... It's an 8/2, man, this is challenging. Oh, what am I doing? I could have counterspelled that. Talking over myself. Alright, well, opponent has no cards in hand. I think we actually animate Colonnade and block here. Ugh. I don't have enough blue to do everything. He's just gonna get this one. Yeah, talking over the play there was not it. That's alright. We can rebound into this next one. So I don't think we have time for the Sailor's Banes. I kind of like everything else except for this Jeskai Charm. We know that. So do I feel comfortable with just having the Sphinxes and the removal to win the game? I think we do. Trying to not make it an excuse. I've been sick the last couple days, but the misplays from this league have been pretty brutal. Because if we counter the cranial plating there, that at least buys us a whole turn. We take, I think it was 6 from the 1 Thopter. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole different game if we counter the spell there. This hand is keepable. So we are going to start here. A couple of Ornithopters show up. All right, and we are going to find... We're going to find the plains. So into this turn, we find a mountain. Turns on basically all the removal in our hand. Just need to find another blue source at some point to get the Sphinx online. That's pretty good. This is all he's doing, though. That's not that bad. And then we will find the mountain. Nice part here is that our prairie streams are online. Ooh, that's pretty good. Yeah, an untapped blue source here would be huge. So this could be a Thought Monitor. So we are going to let him have this just so he can spend all of his mana. So we will blow up cranial plating. Having an issue to getting some lands in a couple of these games. This Brain Surge will let us easily find lands, but the issue is that we want to be leaving up this removal. What is this? Oh, Kozilek's Unsealing. Okay, well, we don't have an answer for that unless we draw. Well, we do have it in the Sphinx of the Forgotten Lore, so we just need to try to... I wonder if there's a world where maybe we bolt one of these now. Try to reduce the amount of affinity that he has. Because if he resolves that... This might sound crazy. I think I'm actually going to Swords this too. Because he could go Frogmite, make 2 guys into one of the 7 drops, but... Alright, Vault Scourge, we can clean that up real easy. Still no land. I think we can afford to wait. We have a Lightning Helix for the Vault Scourge. We cannot counter that. So this will be a 2-mana draw 5. That is pretty backbreaking. To another Thaw Monitor, yep. Going 2-mana draw 5 into 1-mana draw 5 is pretty good. I do know that some Affinity lists were doing things like this, or Up the Beanstalk when it was cheap. I like the more aggressive versions that typically play Kappa Cannoneer, but if it continues to kind of go up in price, this could be an alternative here. So at this point, we have to Brain Surge. We're going to need to try to find something like Depopulate, just to be able to stay in the game here. We did not find it. We did not find a fetch. The land is also like a turn too short, because he has access to the Tormod's Crypt. So we know 1 card deep. We don't have... So the next card's a Brain Surge. Okay, we're going to have to counter that, because that will kill us. Metallic Rebuke. We cannot pay that. So we can at least Lightning Helix whatever he's equipping it to. But then what are we doing next turn? Yeah, because this is 14. He still has 5 cards in hand. I'm surprised at no attack with the thought monitors. Oh, he has another metallic rebuke. Okay. I guess he can still attack with the one, though. So at this point, the brain surge is on top of our deck. We're at 3. He has at least 5 power and other attackers. You know, he's going to get this game. But, yeah, it's really unfortunate that, you know, we clicked through that cranial plating in game 1. I'm going to concede to him. He's going to get the match. But really powerful turn after the Kozilek's unsealing. Definitely a sweet showing of Affinity. To end our video, our final record was 2-3, losing to Red-Green Delirium, 5-color Humans, and Affinity, while beating Black-Green Aggro and Jund. Play was pretty loose this league, especially in the second half, and it did cost games. However, the deck feels strong as the interaction package has some of the most efficient cards available in the value vintage format. The Jeskai Charm ended up being one of the weaker cards in most matchups. I would look to replace it in the future with a more powerful singleton, potentially a balance. Outside of that, I think the deck has a strong core that can be explored further, and Sphinx showed that it is capable of pulling off a fair Snapcaster impression. If you liked the video or have something you wanted to share about the league, the recording, or the gameplay, please let me know below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.